Hi, I'm host Eric, host Talking with Famous People, and I would like to thank Sharon for pushing this idea because I'm really glad I watched that so I can comment on it, and it's one of those things that NTPs need pushing sometimes because they're going to not want to do stuff they really do want to do, but it's not their whim at the moment. So anyway, the reason I want to talk about this video, though, is probably, or might not be, what Sharon had in mind. This is an example of why it doesn't matter whether it's right or not. Okay? You might think it matters, the issue here is whether or not Trump has a good chance to win, or whether or not the mainstream media has a certain narrative, or whatever. But this is a perfect example of how that's misinterpreting the nature of things in general. So we look at this media that this celebrity types has generated, and it's an argument explaining why it is that conventional wisdom in the status quo that says most people tend to agree, people who try to approach the issue objectively tend to agree that Hillary has a better chance to win, so pretty substantially a better chance to win. This video is calling that into question, saying we have good reason to think that narrative is false. Now, the implication unstated here is that it's intentionally false, and it's in sort of a collusion effort to achieve a certain predetermined outcome. But the reason why none of the conclusions in this matter is because we should better adjudicate something based on the argumentation. So let's look at what this video actually did. The first thing it did was it talked about recent years. It entered in saying this is what the mainstream media is saying. This is the narrative that Hillary's going to win, but we actually have good reason to doubt this narrative. So first of all, in recent years, there's been a move towards the towards the projections being increasingly wrong. That's what it claimed. And then it gave an example, Michael Dukakis being up by 17 points and George Bush coming back and beating him. First of all, that's George Herbert Walker Bush, which he mentioned, but the point is that's not recent years. And in fact, the most recent elections have shown remarkable precision in the polls. So the last election was predicted extremely precisely by Nate Silver, all the way along. And it changed, and he explained his methodology, and it made sense. I don't place infinite faith in the polls, but I do know when the objective conclusion is that Hillary's probably going to win. Okay, now let's go on to more in this argumentation. But who cares about that, right? The point is the argumentation. So then he gives one warrant. He says, well, a better predictor is, again, this is not an argument as to why the existing predictions are wrong. This is an argument as to, here's an alternative, it's a counter plan. A better predictor would be the primary record. And if you look at the primary record, it's favors Trump, and he's going to win, according to that. 87% chance or something like that. I don't know what the exact percentage was. And then it goes into this, what does that mean? It goes into this other sort of thing about Hillary, I don't know. And then it says, again, but the most important reason is this thing that has to do with the primaries. It's the primary theory. So, okay, we've got two different theories that explain projections for the election based on primary results. Those are the only two theories they come up with that actually support the notion that Trump's going to win the election. All the other approaches to projections show Hillary. So they've cherry-picked those two and said, well, see, there's a real good chance Trump's going to win. I'm not saying the conclusion's wrong. It might be right or it might be wrong. It doesn't matter. It's the point. The point is the argumentation is disingenuous. He's trying to hide the fact that he's got weak arguments instead of trying to find the truth. So therefore, that's why it's wrong, regardless of whether the conclusion is right or not. We need to focus on validity, not on soundness, so to speak. And that's my assessment of that video. Is it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to see people doing advocacy that is pretending to be objective analysis, but it's not. It's advocacy. Keeping in mind that I don't fucking care and I'm not on the other side, okay? I'm not opposing you. I'm not opposing your side. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me.
I'm just upset about the United Nations, man.
Well, okay, Sharon, let's talk about this United Nations thing. You think it's bad the United Nations or international bodies are coming to observe the U.S. election? And do you think it's bad when the U.S. observes other countries' elections?
No, we do it to them, so they should be able to do it to us, but they should just monitor. And I don't know why they think we're going to have so much corruptness over here. So it's.
I mean, look what happened in the Democratic National Convention. I mean, look what happened in the Democratic Party. That's
yeah,
corrupt
exactly.
as
But
fuck.
you have all this scandal right now is going with the Democrats, so
that's corruption. I mean, it's like we've got lots of corruption.
The Democratic Party is the one that asked them to come in with the express intention to monitor the other side.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter who asked them.
it's not going to matter. At the end, it's going to be the Republicans are probably going to be in the election this year in the White House.
You think the Republicans are going to win?
There's a good chance, dude. The reason
Are you sure that's not wishful thinking?
So I'd actually argue against that and say that the Democrats are actually very likely to win, because what the United Nations are doing is that their policy is that people who do not have voter IDs are still going to be allowed to vote, and the fact that there are so many illegal immigrants in the country that are not getting their voter IDs checked means that they're going to be voting, and since the vast majority of these people are
they're not going to vote. First of all, do you know how many people each year have any kind of voter ID issue? It's an infinitesimally small number.
Hey, Eric, that's another thing. Before your road trip in November, that's before the week of Thanksgiving. I think isn't the election in November? Is it in the first 2 weeks? Because I don't want to do it if it's during the election season or when we have to go vote.
It'll be the week after the election. That's the week that is scheduled for at the moment. I think so, yeah. The election should be on the 11th. That's what it is, right? Tuesday the 11th usually, or something like that, or second Tuesday, or something like second Tuesday. Anyway, I think that we want to ideally avoid reification fallacies, and we're all prone to them, certainly including me, and they're always the cause of our bad reasoning. When we say the government's going to do this or that this is going to do that, we have to remember that groups don't actually have agency. It takes individual human beings. Now, there are
individuals doing that.
Well, look, I'm about to say there certainly are individuals who engage in what are known as conspiracies, and they conspire. I find it very plausible to imagine that some organization like the CIA or the NSA conspires to do shit. That's their job, right? So the notion of a false flag operation or something does not seem far-fetched to me. I am not I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, and just dismiss shit. That's not me, okay? What I'm saying is, I police the vectors. I police the argumentation. I don't care what the outcome is. I'm not chasing a certain conclusion. That's why when I assess the argumentation, you can trust me. I'm disinterested. Not uninterested, I'm disinterested. And it's like, that's another thing that, it's a word people don't even just make a distinction on anymore. People say, oh, I'm disinterested in that. You mean you don't have an interest in this issue that would bias you? No. Oh, you mean you're bored by it? It's an important distinction because people don't seem to think that those sort of considerations need to be made to have a meaningful conversation. Things like,
well, that's a whole other topic because you got to consider some people aren't even informed, and when they go to vote and they just vote for the person that they think is gonna best for their positions or whatever.
Part of the reason why I don't vote, or I haven't voted, is because I don't know enough. I haven't made the effort to figure out enough. I prefer not to, choose one way or the other. Which I'm not saying it's better to not vote. I don't think it's particularly good that I haven't learned. But
yeah, but did you guys know what happened in the Nevada State Convention or not?
In the what?
Nevada State Convention?
Tell us about it.
The Nevada State Convention, is that what you said?
Yeah, the Democratic State Convention. Well, anyways, they had a group, and they're all meeting up, and they're going to discuss who they should nominate for the presidency, which is Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And there's a lot of Bernie supporters that got kicked out, or they were actually left out of the room, and they're told that they can join and get in no more, so they can put their vote in. Or their parking wasn't actually open to them, so they had to park somewhere really far and try to get to the convention by the time they were supposed to vote, and it actually didn't work out the way. And there's this whole scandal that occurred that the person running it, the lady, was actually in cahoots with Hillary Clinton.
No, I know. I agree with you completely that the corruption in the Democratic Party should be punished by fucking arrest and prosecution. I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
I was just saying, when they went to the Democratic conventions, or the big one, when all of them meet up and they're going to nominate the person, which was Hillary Clinton this year, it ended up happening that the lady was fired after all her emails came out, right before it.
I mean, the thing is, people want to keep focusing on what Hillary did or whatever, but once you've determined that the injustice is in the lack of the prosecution, that in fact there are a number of people who are guilty of the crime of collusion to achieve political outcomes not willed by the American people. They are potentially guilty of treason and all that stuff. I totally agree with that. I think treason is not an outrageous charge in this instance. They're undermining the democracy. But once we've adjudicated that and said that's our decision about this, yes, that's what it should be, then it's meaningless to spend any time talking about how they're bad, right? It's like we have to talk about instead something meaningful, like why a given argument doesn't work, because that helps. That's getting exercise instead of taking a Tylenol, right? You gotta. If we want this democracy to be healthy, it's not about people being more informed. Okay, there's this idea that somehow if you learn about the issues, blah blah blah. No, it's not about that. It's about everybody becoming more means focused. Are we talking about this in a way that is sound, that is valid, that is not conclusion driven? I really want this, so I'm going to find arguments to support the side. Whatever your conclusion is, if that's where you came from, then you're wrong. It doesn't matter if I agree with your conclusion or not. You're wrong because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. It's
Look,
what I'm saying is this. If we don't adhere to a fair way of talking to each other, where claims are subject to constant attack from everybody at all times, all claims, for sure. Make those claims withstand scrutiny. You say you don't want to debate about it, or it sounds like you're saying, well, I don't want to, cause there to be debate about it or something. I want to debate about it. I want it to be resolved so that one of us knows that he is wrong. Either me, I go, okay, well, actually, you were right. I never heard that before. Fine, I can't believe I was wrong about that. Or you. So let's go ahead and debate it out. I don't know what we're debating exactly. What I'm saying is your political positions that you hold are wrong unless you got to them from the right direction. And even if they disagree with mine, they're right if you got to them from the right direction. Do you disagree, or anybody disagree with that?
I mean, I pretty much agree with you on this one.
It seems sensible enough.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought right now.
Okay. Well, trains do have a tendency to wander off. And I guess that concludes this episode of Talking with Those People. Thanks for watching.